In 2021, Statista reports that 91.9% of U.S. marketers and companies with more than 100 employees use some form of digital or social media to promote their business. Tyler Pigott is an innovator, a thinker, and a problem solver who uses creativity and digital marketing tools to solve problems and provide your business with an innovative edge. He's the CEO and founder of Loan for Creative. It's a company focused on metabolic marketing for brands with ambitious goals. He joined me this week to have a conversation about the most effective ways to market your business and effective problem solving when it comes to entrepreneurship. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So, Tyler, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm excited to learn all about your life's journey this afternoon. Thanks so very much for being here, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
So, Tyler, yeah, you're welcome. I wanted to start with our conversation by sort of giving you a chance to tell me sort of the 360-degree view of your life and how you got to where you are today, buddy.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it as somewhat condensed as possible, and not give you my entire memoir. But
Should I go? Should I go pop some popcorn and come down? Kidding.
No. All right. So I've kind of always had the entrepreneurial bug. Grew up in a family that my dad was an entrepreneur growing up, and I actually paid my way through school, paid my way through college. I started a DJ business early on, and I've kind of I essentially had side gigs going really until 2014. I worked in corporate America kind of for about 15 years, corporate communications, PR. Learned a bunch, learned a lot of things that I got excited about, also learned a lot of things to avoid doing. And in 2014, kind of got the opportunity to start my own gig. And that is a marketing agency called Loan for Creative, and I've had a ton of fun building and growing that. But for the most part, I get up in the morning because I get excited about achieving and learning and being challenged. I'm very challenge motivated. And so I'm kind of that guy that signs up for the marathon and can't run a mile, but wants to figure out how to run the marathon. So very challenge motivated on that side of things. So yeah, that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. So just before we dive into your entrepreneurial spirit, I want to circle back to the DJ days there, Tyler, and tell me, what was your favorite song to DJ, buddy?
Oh my word, my favorite song. I DJ'd a lot of weddings and a lot of events, and a lot of at that point. So this would have been the early 2000s. And honestly, there was a lot of requests for the song called Celebration by Kool and the Gang. This was like Rapper's Delight back in the day. It would have been the Sugar Hill Gang. Kind of like, yeah, like late 90s, like hip hop and pop music was probably the most requested stuff that I played. So
yeah, I was a late 90s baby, so I'm all about, or late, early 90s baby, so sure. I'm all about the 90s music there, Tyler. So there you go.
I love it. I love it.
So tell me, Tyler, about creating ambitious entrepreneurs and then coming up with the ambition and drive and sort of the legs to sort of achieve your entrepreneurial dreams? How do you think we create more ambitious entrepreneurs?
That's a great question. There are lots of different kinds of entrepreneurs out there, right? And that lots of people kind of jump into their entrepreneurial journey with the desire of just having a job, and or with the desire of just getting a paycheck or something and wanting to be their own boss. Then there's also people that are super motivated to build stuff, and I kind of fall on the latter half of that as far as wanting to be a builder. And so in that kind of journey of becoming a builder, or that mindset, I suppose it's always a growth mindset. And so I would challenge just about anybody listening to try to achieve that growth mindset. And so that static mindset would be the opposite, and that's going to be everything stays the same. Get up in the morning, do the same routine, it's all the same. Whereas a growth mindset is going to be a lot more about how do you build, like how do you achieve things, and how are you challenged by some of those things. I'd also encourage people to set big vision, like set like a big goal way out there that's not achievable today, or you don't know how to achieve it today. Those generally are super motivating because you have to go figure it out. You have to, show up every day with an eagerness to want to achieve something and want to go get something. And oftentimes, if you have that goal way out there, you're able to kind of align a lot of the different things that you do every day towards going to get that, versus getting pulled in numerous different directions and just being reactionary towards what you're doing. So that would kind of be, I guess, a thought behind it. I've tried really hard to stay motivated that way and consistently keep my eyes down the road for what I'm trying to build or what I'm trying to achieve, which kind of helps keep me on track for that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also wondering your thoughts on what it means to become a creative problem solver. What do you think that means for you?
Oh man, it is about being able to approach situations or challenges or problems in this case with a unique set of filters to see things through. So many people approach problems based on just, hey, this is just how it's supposed to be done, and so we should do it that way. I generally tend to approach it maybe through a unique set of filters, if you will, towards maybe what's possible. And so I try pretty hard to kind of throw out how things have been done in the past and really look at things with a fresh perspective, which then allows you to solve a problem uniquely or differently, maybe than somebody else might. And so part of that does stem back to that thought I was talking about earlier with being like having that growth mindset, because you're constantly learning and evolving and kind of adapting to what's going on, but you're also kind of challenging that, pushing it forward. So that creative problem solver just, has the ability to look at it through a different lens, maybe than the traditional lens. So.
And I know that you're a big believer in helping organizations solve problems. And Tyler, I'm going to share just a little bit about myself. I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. It just simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally.
Sure.
And one of my passions in life, and part of my background, is helping individuals with disabilities find employment. And, one of the most creative ways I think organizations can solve problems is by hiring individuals with disabilities. So I'm wondering your thoughts on the importance of creating an inclusive workforce as well.
Oh my word. Yeah. It's super interesting because of the fact that I've always kind of had a perspective of really trying to find the best individual for a certain job. I've never cared what they look like, how they might do life, their beliefs, their whatever. And so I think it's super important to have that mentality. I think there are some organizations out there that specifically try to hire, maybe they're only trying to find a black, a white, and whatever. They're trying to find somebody that's different, like looking, or they're trying to only find somebody that, in this case has a disability or whatnot. And I think that it should be open to whoever is like the best fit for the specific job, versus having like a specific target. And so I think that there's lots of different scenarios where, people can fit into organizations that might have, different skill sets or different approach to how they would do those skill sets. And that can be, someone like yourself that might have that disability that, honestly, our conversation hasn't been any different than other conversations I've had with others that might not have the or born with what you were born with, and so I think that there's lots of room in the workforce for people that I'm just going to call it approach life differently, because I don't really believe there's a quote unquote normal, and everyone's different. And so I think that there's room to create culture and create a culture moving forward as an organization that is inclusive for what everyone brings to it. So I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but that's, I would say, kind of more of a personal belief and what I get excited about pushing forward too.
Yeah, creativity breeds collaboration, doesn't it?
That's right. It's true.
And Tyler, they tell me that you're obsessed with goals, buddy. And that you're also obsessed with cycling, your golden retriever, and your family, buddy. So I'm wondering, outside of work, what sort of things get you most excited about living life, buddy?
Yeah, I'm a big family guy. I've got two girls, 13 and 11 right now, and they're super fun. They're so active. They have tons of friends. They're always doing different things. So I love spending time with them. We do have a 1-year-old golden retriever. She is my fourth golden retriever I've had in my life. So I've kind of always had a dog by my side or at my feet for a long time. And so taking her for walks, playing outside. And then I've gotten into cycling over the last decade, and I spend a lot of time on a road bike, on a gravel bike, on a mountain bike, and love being outside and just getting to have some sort of physical exercise, but at the same time getting to enjoy all the beauty around us. And right now it's super fun with all the trees changing color and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you, you age well, Tyler. You don't look a day over 25. So.
Oh, thank you. I'm 26, so that's helpful. maybe not, but close.
Well, aging gracefully is never a bad thing, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it continues, but I've been good so far.
And Tyler, you shared with me before this started that you live outside of Seattle. So I'm wondering, what's the best part about living where you live, buddy?
The months of June, July, August, and September is the best part. It's less
because it rains all the rest of the year right now.
Well, there's a chance that it feels like you live on a sponge the other number of months. But honestly, I love it. It's super close to the water, so you can have, do water activities, whether it's boats or paddleboarding or whatnot. That's also really close to the mountains. Go mountain biking, go skiing in the winter. It's kind of like a central spot to get to do all the different outdoor things. So I love that part about it. And then I was raised in this area, left for a while, came back, but it's been fun to have family. My wife's family's close to here. My family's close to here. And so being close to family has been a great part about living here too.
Absolutely. And now let's circle back for a minute about setting goals, buddy. I always say if you set a goal, if you want to set effective goals, as long as you have a clear vision of the desired result and you're not willing to waver from that process, any goal is achievable. So I'm wondering your thoughts on how to set effective goals.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say that it's super important to have goals that are way out there, maybe like a 5-year goal or a 10-year goal or something that you're trying to attain. And then it's as you kind of get closer, really bringing some practicalities to some of those goals. Obviously you want those goals to be like reasonable. You need them to be specific. Oftentimes I try to make them so that they're measurable as well, so that you can see how am I doing in progressing towards my goal. And so on a business side of things, that could be maybe you're creating a website or a blog and you're trying to get traffic to it. And so you can measure traffic, or you're trying to get conversions on your website and have people sign up for something or purchase something. So there's lots of different ways you can kind of build goals based on that. But what I've found is having those long-term goals that honestly kind of roll up into the short-term goals helps you make decisions. It helps you, in my case, building an agency. I have a longer term goal of building a bigger agency. And so it does help me decide, do I want to hire people or not? And it helps me kind of navigate through some of the different decisions or complexities of growing a business, because I do have a pretty detailed long-term goal that I'm going after. So yeah, I would say long-term, and then being able to roll those into like shorter term goals that are, measurable, that they're reasonable, that there's something that you can actually achieve, versus, too big of goals make it so you always fall short, which is super discouraging as well. So.
Yeah, and Tyler, tell me about the importance of celebrating smaller goals as well, because I think that's also important.
Yeah, it's a good point. I honestly probably naturally don't come by the celebration of smaller goals, and I do have to remind myself to stop, pause, and actually celebrate some of those littler goals. And those little goals, they might not be little; they could be hitting big revenue numbers, or they could be, team size, or a responsibility increase or decrease if you're looking for a different change. They could be athletic goals or whatever, but it's super important to pause and celebrate them. And sometimes that celebration is, oh, I'm going to go, go out to dinner, or I'm going to go take a vacation, or I'm going to buy myself something or whatnot. And sometimes it's just acknowledging those goals out loud to a friend or to a coworker or to a family member, just so that you can kind of have a moment where you get to celebrate a little bit. So I think it's super important to celebrate them. I think it gives you something to look forward to, because there's so much negativity that goes on every day in everyone's lives, and bad news, and hard situations, that when you do accomplish your goal, I think it should be celebrated because it's something you've achieved. And so honestly, I will have to work hard on remembering to do that. But those are some tips, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me about Loan for Creative. I mean, what keeps you busy during your workday, buddy?
Yeah, so Loan for Creative is a branding and marketing agency. And so we help people in two different phases. The first phase is more of that brand strategy. So really helping people uncover their positioning, what makes them relevant and different in the marketplace, helping them with their kind of target audience or the people that they're going after, and then helping them create clear messaging specifically to that target audience that explains their relevance and their differentiation to the market. And then, part of that first phase as well is really rolling that messaging out into all of their sales and marketing materials that are, public facing, so that when people interact, they all get the same experience. And so that's the first phase. The second phase that we spend a lot of time with partnering with businesses is really driving like awareness and kind of amplifying that message. There's a ton of different tactics and campaigns and activities and such that take that place, but really it's all about driving awareness to that brand, because you're trying to increase their sales or increase their revenue. So those are kind of like some of the things that keep us up during the day and keep us busy during the day, helping clients with their brand messaging, and then their positioning and how they fit into the marketplace, and then bringing awareness, driving awareness, and kind of more demand generation for that business.
Fabulous. And Tyler, I'm also wondering your thoughts on what you learned most about yourself during the pandemic, and how this experience has made you a better person.
Oh man, that's a great question. Kind of scratched my head a little bit on that one. Honestly, I would say one of the things I have learned, or two things I've learned. One is I'm pretty resilient. I'm going to get up I get up out of bed every morning, and I'm going to go keep pushing something forward. Even if it's discouraging, I'm going to be able to reset and get up in the next morning and keep going. So I'd say resilience. I learned that a lot. And I also say, like, as an entrepreneur, you can't fail. And I feel like I learned that in the pandemic, to where you're just going to change and you're going to make it work the same way that you have from day one. And so, as much as there's so many people I talked to at the beginning of the pandemic that probably had a lot of fear, or a lot of, there's a lot of uncertainty and many of those types of things. And reality is you're going to make it and you're going to be fine. So I feel like I taught myself that, as well as kind of observed that in the first number of months of the pandemic. And so I don't know I think it's made me a better person. I would say, priorities have changed a little bit for me, and love getting to be with my family and focusing on what's important to me. And where maybe at one point in my life, I was more focused on business and how I looked, and now it's a lot more priorities are aligned a little bit better now. So.
And have you picked up any new habits about yourself that you didn't have before? Or no?
I don't know. I mean, it's super interesting because so we started our business in 2014 as a remote company. So I hired my first person, and I mean, I live in Washington State. I hired my first employee in Arizona. And then we've grown to about 20 people across 14 states. So we were remote before the pandemic hit. So there's a lot of my life that didn't change at all in the pandemic. There's a lot of it that was just business as usual, and we got to adapt really fast. So I think that I probably, as far as kind of like new habits go, I would say probably got more in a habit of, I have a great routine from like a physical fitness side of things. And that came from, not leaving your house for a while. And I'd also say that, we spend a lot more time like working on house projects now. So I don't know if those are like good habits, but that's something that we've done a lot more of.
Happy life, happy wife equals a happy life, doesn't it?
That's what they say, and I think that that's what I've gotten to experience too.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
That's a positive, isn't it?
yeah, I think it is for sure.
And tell me, I'm wondering your thoughts on the value you place on human connection. I'm curious to get your thoughts there.
Oh my gosh. No one buy, I mean, I'll just go straight to like kind of business or professional. We sell products and everybody sells something, right? And you can't sell anything unless you've built the know, like, and trust factors with a human. And so they have to know who you are, they have to like you, and they have to trust you in any brand scenario. And so all of that requires some sort of a connection with someone. And so I think, I mean, above all else at this point, I think, those connections are so important. One of the things that the pandemic has shown me is that you can do a lot. You don't have to always do it in person. There's a lot that you can do via, Zoom videos like we're recording this podcast on right now and getting to see each other and talk. There's also a lot you can do, on FaceTimes and text messages and those types of things. But I would say I've gotten to learn the importance of, if I'm thinking about somebody, send them a quick text message, or, you might not know what to say, but you just, hey, thinking about you, hope life's well, just kind of reaching out to people and making that connection. And sometimes that turns into, grabbing lunch with them, the next week, or sometimes it turns into a phone call or something. But, from the personal side, I think that it's more important now than ever, because you have to be intentional about it. It's not, it doesn't happen quite as, I suppose, organically as it might have at some point in our lives.
100%. And my final question for you, Tyler, is I'm wondering if you've given any thought on how you want your personal or professional legacy to be defined, buddy.
Wow, that's a great question. I have not thought about it a ton. I would say, I would love it if I was an enabler. So I helped empower people and I helped give people a shot, help give them the best possible scenario or best possible situation to win. So if I were to like fast forward to the end of my life and people are speaking at my service or my funeral or whatever, I would want them to say, man, Tyler did an amazing job of cheering for me and helping me win, whether that was a personal thing or a business side, and helping believe in me. And so I think that would be an element or part of a legacy that I would want to leave, is just that kind of spirit of, of belief in people and empowering people to help do what they are on this earth to do.
Fantastic. And finally, tell me, if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can do that, Bonnie?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So check me out on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect or send me a message. Search for me. It's Tyler, Tyler, and then last name's Pigott, P as in Paul, Igott. Search for me on LinkedIn. Check me out there. I'm also on Twitter, same first and last name. And then you can feel free to hit me up on our website as well. So.
Fantastic. Well, Tyler, I have to tell you, I've thoroughly enjoyed meeting my latest interviewee from the wonderful state of Washington. And I have to tell you that I hope you enjoyed our conversation as well. And I want to thank you for your time, energy, and efforts on my behalf, and for being here today. It's most appreciated.
Absolutely, Kevin. This has been a blast. I share the same from Ontario. You're my most recent interviewer from Ontario. And yeah, thanks for taking the time and setting us up. This has been fun.